Hi, my name is Punit Patel and I'm in group BO7-7. My group partners are Atif Pathan and Connor Rogerson. My UCID is 300064251. Today I'm presenting you with driver project number 3, timing and interrupts. So let's begin. I have This is my main file in which I've included all of my header files. These are all user-defined header files, basically iOS H, change clock, and time delay. These header files uh, declare functions such as new clock, delay ms, which are used in iOS C to make the LED blink and work. So let me start with main function. Here, these are all macros which are predefined. I'm initializing new clock on 32, just 32 passed as parameter. Uh, you can see this new clock function in change clock.c. There it is. 32 is passed as clock value in unsigned integer, and based on this if else conditions, condition number 3, if clock value is 32 is run, and NOSC is set to 32 kilohertz. After that, again in main function, so after this function is run, the this line initializes IOs in low power wake up, and IO init function is run. This function is in my ios.c file. This function initializes all of the pins in the microprocessor. For example, RB8 is set as digital output, which is basically our LED. RA2 is switch 1. Similarly, RA4 switch 2 and RB4 is switch 3. Then this while loop is ran and it checks for the inputs from any of the switches. So it is again in ios.c, where just like the last driver project, we check if switch 1 is pressed. We run a loop, and inside the loop we first check if any other switch is pressed with the switch 1 simultaneously, and if it is if the condition is true, we just turn down the light without blinking. Otherwise, we provide a delay of 1000. This delay function is in time delay, which I'll go through later, but basically this function uh, is responsible for blinking the light, and 1000 is 1000 microseconds, which is basically 1 second. So this if else conditions check if the light is already on or not. If it is on, then it turns it off, thus giving us blinking effect. Let us go in delay ms function, which is in time delay.c file. Here's my delay dot function, which accepts time in microseconds as its parameter. Here we are defining that we don't need any nested interrupts. Prescaler is 1, timer 1, and we continue the operation choosing internal clock at 32 kilohertz. This is our timer, which is set at 0, and we calculate PR1 using this equation, in which we multiply time obtained from the parameter with a simple clock value, which is 16. I got this value 16 because you can see here I was calculating the time as time milliseconds divided by 1000 whole divided by 2 upon 3200. Nope, sorry, my bad. 32,000 is our clock speed. which results into time in multiplied by 32,000 divided by 2000, and upon simplifying we get time into 16. I've defined 16 as unsigned integer just to make process calculations bit faster, and I've multiplied that into time and obtained PR1, and I've run idle function, and it is because of this function the CPU is idle while timer 1 increases and matches to PR1. This idle function is basically a macro which was defined here. Now in iOS C, this was for switch 1. So same thing happens for switch 2. Instead, for the switch 1, it checks for switch 2 this time, and if switch 1 or switch 3 is pressed with switch 2, it turns LED on. Otherwise, it produces delay of 2000 microseconds, which is basically 2 seconds, and it gives blinking effect every 2 seconds. And similarly for switch 3, it has delay ms of 3000, which is basically 3 seconds, and thus giving us blinking effect every 3 seconds. This line turns off the equation when there's no switch is pressed. So now we can proceed to our hardware setup. Here's my hardware setup. Let me just toss my UCID in real quick. And now here we can see that I've connected my PIC 4 to the breadboard, just like driver project 2, and this all of the switches are connected to the ground with the black wire, while pin number 1 is connected to VDD of PIC 4, and I followed the diagram similarly on pin 2 and pin 3 again. I'm using RA2 as my switch 1, RA4 as my switch 2, and RB4 as my switch 3, which you can see here. And let us press switch 1. This should make blinking effect of 1 second. Perfect. Let us press switch 2 for 2-second blinking. And switch 3 for 3-second. Now let me press 2 switches just to show that the LED is not blinking. And there you go. As you can see, it's not blinking anymore. Let me press switch 1 and switch 2 now. Oh. Perfect. Switch 1 and switch 3. Awesome. There's delay in the switches because of the clock. And now let us press all of the switches together. I'm pressing switch 1, 2, 3 at the same time, and LED is still not blinking. Awesome. Thanks for watching.